Hey guys, Cleanblade here, bringing another Pokemon TCG online video, and today is Analytical Tuesdays is what we're going to call it, I guess. This will be episode 1, and today I'm going to be looking into the Wailord deck that just recently got second at Nationals, so that's what we're playing. I should have probably went second here. I think this is a misplay, but he will get the mulligans here, so this is good for me. Our hand is actually not the greatest of all things in the world. We at least got the Shauna and the Max Potion, so if we really needed to, we could Shauna here, and it would help us overall, but I don't know. If we had a Pokemon fan club, we most definitely play that over everything else. So, really, this game's probably going to take a really long time. This is all unedited, of course. I'm doing everything live, so who knows. If I misplay, be sure to point it out. Tell me what I could have done better, or stuff like that, because I do want to learn from my misplays with this deck. I think this deck is a really complex deck, and this is why we're featuring this deck for the first episode, because it's a really complex deck, and it makes you think a lot, and yeah, you basically just try and deck out your opponent. So, the thing is here is, if he doesn't take the mulligans, we're probably behind overall, but if he does, we probably win the game. And yeah, so he takes the mulligans, putting him down to 44 cards. Really good for us. We don't mind that whatsoever. We're hoping he probably discards a few cards for Ultra Balls, stuff like that. This way he just gets rid of those cards out of the deck, so if I like N or something like that, they're just completely gone forever, if that makes sense. So here I'm actually going to N. No, we're actually going to Shauna. I don't mind him having that big of a hand. I'm going to play both these down. This hand was pretty interesting of a draw here. Here next turn I can always VS Seeker for another N if I needed to, so there is that option. I don't know if I really want to, but or for the Shauna I should say over the N. But yeah, we will just have to see. So we are versing Night March, which can be kind of a better matchup because we like to verse Wailord-ex, because why not? Wailord-ex means they can't really kill our Wailords in like 1 to 2 hits, which means a lot overall, if that makes sense. It really does mean a lot to have a slower deck to verse us, because if we're versing Seismitoad and we only take 30 damage a turn or whatnot, that basically gets healed off by Rough Seas pretty much instantly. But we do see an Ultra Ball. But the good thing about versing this deck is that for them to be able to really do anything to us, they have to mill through a whole bunch of their deck. And Wailord basically just stops all of that right dead in its tracks. And I don't know, if they go through their deck, they have to mill a lot. And if they mill a lot, they will probably lose the game overall. I would assume so. So, if we see a lot of battle compressors and stuff like that, he's just going to deck out over time then, if that makes sense. He won't have enough damage to be able to KO the Wailords and stuff like that. And it looks like he's missing the Dimension Valley, and seeing he is attaching to the Pumpkaboo at the moment. So this is a very important thing. He does not get to attack with the Mew, and even if he could, the Suicune walls it, which is really, really important in this matchup. So just keep that in mind. There's a lot of little things that are very, very important in the matchup, apparently. So we do see the Muscle Bang come down on the Pumpkaboo. Pretty smart play, I'd say, overall, and sorry for that random noise. Wasn't expecting that. But yeah, so we do see the Pumpkaboo come up. I think this is fine, personally. He's only dealing 30 damage. We can always just grab a Rough Seas here, which I am just going to do. See, with the Skyla, why not? He won't be able to do much damage to us whatsoever without it, so why not just do that? It wasn't worth using a Max Potion. We kind of want to save our Max Potion, so to the point where our Pokemon are either getting one-shotted almost, stuff like that, if that makes sense. We really don't want to have a lot of things that are kind of dead weight, if that makes sense. Though our hand is kind of bad, the Shauna kind of put us behind a little bit in the sense of drawing cards, because we did have a bigger hand, if that makes sense. And so that is a factor. We do see the Dimension Valley, and we will probably get Night March this turn for 40 damage, and that's what we do see. So here I'm just going to place down the Wailord, and I am actually going to Shauna again, get a nice new 3 cards in my hand. And we do get the Rough Seas, so I will play that. And here I could gonna attach the Heart Charm to the Suicune, just because he's doing very little amounts of damage at the moment, and I don't mind doing it if that makes sense. So next turn we have the chance to end or discard the Muscle Band, and if he plays a DCE with the Xerosic, we can get rid of the DCE. So this is very crucial overall, because things like that can be game-changing, if that makes sense. The deck is very critical on the decisions that you make. We can end him here and he'll be forced to draw more cards than us overall, if that makes sense. So we do see a third energy come down for him to be able to Night March for 20 damage on us, and I think this is just fine. I am not actually going to do anything here. I could Xerosic and get rid of this Muscle Band, but I don't think it's worth it right now, so we're just going to draw and pass. And as you can tell, we're slowly winning this because my opponent is behind in cards right now. She has 39, we have 40, so if the game continues at the pace that it is now, we just win straight up right away, no questions asked, if that makes sense. So that is very key to note. So we're just going to basically sit here and wait and see what our opponent does. There's really not much to talk about until then. We do see the DCE though, which I will probably Xerosic off, because we do not want him to keep that many energy in his hand and, or on the field and stuff like that. So we will probably just Xerosic that off right away. That would just be our supporter for the turn. We really don't have to spend our turns drawing a lot because we are playing the deck out game. So just always remember you're playing the deck out game. Always remember that. It's the most key thing to remember in this deck. So we just see my opponent just basically attack and attach the lightning energy. I think this is fine. Here I'm gonna trick shovel my opponent's deck, and here I'm gonna let him draw the Lampent just because I know it's a bad card that he doesn't want to draw, if that makes sense. So here I probably should have VS Seeker for like a Skyla or something, but I didn't. I think we're in just fine position right now. I kind of want to save my VS Seekers for AZs and stuff like that, because that stuff can come back to kind of bite you in the ass if you do that stuff way too quickly. So we do see another electric energy come down in the Joltik. I don't think this will make big of a difference right now at this very moment, but it might in the future, so who knows. Here I'm going to attach the Wailord here, and I'm just going to pass my turn. Our opponent's taking a really slow start to Night March, I'd say. And I think it's going to make him fall behind overall, if that makes sense. Like, he's not really doing much whatsoever. So here I have the Lysander option open constantly. I could have Pokemon Fan Club there. I could have done a lot of stuff there, but I chose not to because he is really not showing any moves or progression in the game at the moment. This turn might be the turn where he'll do an Ultra Ball for like a Shaman, maybe start getting some stuff going, but I really doubt it. He's seemed like he's trying to play more of a control matchup, which I think is a really bad thing, but we do see an Ultra Ball, discarding the 2 Lampets, and that means he's doing 60 damage, 80 damage with the Muscle Band to this Suicune. But the Heart Charm makes it do 60 now, so we do have that going for us. So we might see a Shaman here, which I think will be beneficial to him, obviously. I think it would be probably the best card that he could get at the moment. Draw that 5, or a Juniper might be the best card he could get. I think he really needs a Turbo here, believe it or not. In this matchup, you probably don't want to play that slow when you're playing Night March, because in reality, he's really not all doing that much damage to me. And here I can just Lysander up this Manectric, and I don't know what to do from there, essentially. I could also team Flare Grunts, like Psychic Energy off, which I think I'm going to do instead. It basically makes him attach an energy this turn, or he loses, essentially. Or, well, not loses, but it just plays really slow for him. So as you can tell, he's lost another card in his deck because of the Ultra Ball, which just speeds up our deck process, apparently. This game's probably going to be really long. Usually, games with this deck usually take a while just because of the way it's set up. As you can tell, my opponent's also playing kind of slow. She's used up a lot of her time already. If we were in a tournament or something, she'd probably be down to like 7 minutes or so left in a Pokemon TCG online tournament or so. So that is something you also have to be considerate of. People can time out with this deck just because of how long the deck takes to play. So pay very close attention to that. So we see the Professor's Letter. I think this is fine. I will just Lysander out the Manectric then, I think. I really don't see him doing much other than that. So he grabs another Psychic, he grabs double Psychic Energies, which tell me he has no plans to be really attacking with this Manectric. He can attach here and hit me for 60. I still live with 10 HP, so I'm fine with this. Here I will just Lysander out the Manectric here. He now has to... I think this was actually a misplay here. Now that I think about it, I should have just AZ'd because he already has energy in hand to retreat and kill the Suicune, so that is actually a misplay on my part. If I was smart, I would have just AZ'd the Suicune, promoted the Wailord, and then basically just moved on, if that makes sense, because we are in the better of positions at the moment. So that's a minor misplay that might end up costing me in the long run if they see it, if that makes sense. So pay attention to those things. The little things are really important in this matchup. So my opponent's probably going to attach and retreat here. Makes sense, if that makes sense. So we do see exactly that. I will just promote the Wailord with the Hard Charm. I really don't see him doing much here, and I will just pass my turn. Wailord is going to take him forever to KO. He's doing 60 damage, minus 30 every turn, and we have 250 HP. So Wailord is just going to take him hours and hours to kill, and then we have the AZ in hand, and things in our graveyard, max potions off of Skyla from the VS Seekers, or just continual AZs. So the deck is just gonna make or take ages to do anything whatsoever. So we get another Suicune. I will bench it because he shows that he's trying to power up other things too. So I'm just realigning the checks on my bench. Like, I may have Wailords, but I also have Suicunes, so they have to be wary of that now. He might actually consider Suicune a bigger threat, knowing that alone. So here we're probably going to see some sort of accelerant. He does have 4 cards in his hand, and we do see an Eliza, which is kind of a weird choice, but we do see a Float Stone. Probably come out on the Wailord-ex if I were to guess, but who knows? We may not see that. Surprised we didn't see a Muscle Band as well, but okay, maybe prized. So our opponent's just kind of playing the slow game with us, which I'm perfectly fine with, so just remember this, slow is good for us. Really, really, really good for us. So we do see the Float Stone come down. Basically, our opponent's playing this game really, really slow, and it's just beneficial to us in every single way. Though the only bad thing is Hughes in our deck, and we do run 2 of them, are kind of a bad draw here, but I think we're fine in that sense. We have a really good hand. He's taking forever to deal damage on a Wailord. I still have 190 HP, so he'd have to discard basically every Night Martyr in his deck just to kill this Wailord. And then I think he'd still be off by like 10 or 20 here, so he does have to remember that. I do get the Skyla, which I think I'm going to use and grab an Enhanced Hammer, I think. And discard the DCE on the bench Mew because he might try some shenanigans here or there, so we're just going to get rid of that right away. Not let him set any of that up. Here he could triple Battle Compression and kill this Wailord by milling out all of his Night Marchers, but I think it's really slim chance, so I'm not even going to worry about it, if that makes sense. I don't think it's worth us worrying about at the moment. So we do see a Suicune get Lysander forward. We do take the 80 damage. So we can have one of 2 options. We could Cassius this or AZ it. I think Cassius is a better choice here, just because it goes back into the deck. So we're going to Cassius, promote the fresh Wailord, and just pass our turn. And as you can tell, my opponent's really struggling to get any momentum going. We're playing such a slow game with him. And Night March is usually a faster deck, though this isn't a pure Night March variant, as you can tell. So take that in mind, but the deck is still very complex in a very minute level, so we do finally see a Sycamore, which will probably speed up his plays a little bit. He'll be doing a little bit more damage now, but he's also down to 16 cards now, which means we have a 13 card lead, and he has 16 turns left to draw everything that he needs, which is pretty, not that much whatsoever, if I were to say. So that is a big thing. So we'll probably see a Night March attack here, and that's probably going to be the end of his turn, if I were to guess. So an important thing to note here is that we can live another attack. So I do not have to retreat this Wailord yet, and we can just stay in essentially. He could come up and attack with like an assault laser or something like that, but it still wouldn't kill me, so that's a big thing. So even if he kills this Wailord-ex too, he still has to take 3 more prizes, which is kind of hard in this meta, I guess you could say, right now against these Wailords. So I'm just gonna do this and pass, essentially. I could be safe here and VI Seeker for Skyla and grab a max potion, if you get what I'm saying, but I don't think it's worth it right at this moment. I can always AZ this back up into her hand, so we're just going to pass our turn. Our opponent's probably looking to do something a little bit clutch here, probably like Battle Compressor, attack. So we do see the Skyla, which I kind of figured, I guess I should have seen coming. Seeing we did see him run Skyla before, but I figured it was just a 1-tech. Maybe his deck was slower, stuff like that. He wanted a little bit of more consistency, I guess, but I guess I was wrong. So he will probably get the KO on this Wailord this turn. I think he'll do exactly 160 to me. So this is kind of a good thing for him, but he is milling things out of his deck to do it. And I have plenty of options to continue on my rampage of Wailords, if that makes sense. And he has to discard 3, which he doesn't, so he doesn't get the kill yet. Not yet, at least. He could still Ultra Ball 1 out of his hand, stuff like that. Anything like that can still go down. So if I were to guess, he's probably going to get the kill on the Wailord-ex this turn, if I were to guess properly. So we saw him get the KO on the Wailord-ex. This is just fine by us. He's doing a decent amount of damage at the moment. Not that much. He's only doing 140, I do believe. Or 160. No. 3s, 4, 5, 6, 7. Plus the muscle band, so 160. Yeah. So here we can just promote this Wailord-ex. It'll take even less damage. So why not? And we can essentially just pass our turn. Our opponent's going to have a really hard time closing out this game. He has 10 cards left in deck, and he has to end himself to survive. So this is a big thing to note. We do see another Battle Compressor, which I think is going to be really desperate by our opponent. I think our opponent's struggling to get the KOs, and he's starting to panic at this rate in the game. So I think this is kind of a big deal as it is. I don't know if it will be though, so who knows. The 9 cards left in their decks, so I do believe they only discarded the 1 Joltik, yep, plus the draw, and that is it. So now they're doing 200 damage with this, and we do see a Skyla, so we might see a Skyla to grab an N here or something like that, because she is really running low on cards, and she does kind of have a lot of cards in her hand, so this is kind of an important thing to note. We do see a Startling Megaphone. I don't think he still gets the kill either way. Pretty sure he's off a few here, but it will help him reduce the amount of, restore that muscle band damage, but I'm pretty sure he's probably doing like 200 damage or so right now, which is a pretty decent amount. So he's doing 180, which is decent, but we're just gonna Skyla, grab a max potion, I do believe, and just continue on with our exact same plays, because we don't want to waste the AZ already, if that makes sense, when we only have the one AZ in hand with a VS Seeker making it 2, but we have double Fan Club and stuff like that. So we're just playing it more conservatively because this is a very conservative deck. The deck likes to play slow, very, very slow, which may not be some people's forte, but the deck is also very, very good when you're versing decks that kind of have slower starts to get up to them, if that makes sense. So here we are forced to AZ, the Wailord, promote a new one. We're going to use this Enhanced Hammer, get rid of that DCE, that's it, that's the word. So our opponent's finally gaining some ground here, but at the exact same time we still buy at least 5-6 more turns, which will be plenty of time for us to get the KO. So this is a big thing that they have to note in their own mind, is that, wow, we can actually get these things. Plus, I can use all my item cards because we are not versing Seismitoad, so I can use my 2 max potions that I still have left and stuff like that. So we see him attach to the Pumpkaboo, which I think personally is probably a misplay, but I don't know in particularly. So I'm going to Cassius here, this back to my deck, place down this Wailord, and just pass my turn, essentially. We do have the AZ in hand and an AZ in the discard, which is nice. So our opponent's now down to 5 cards. We're still at 24, so we're at a long way from decking out. The Yveltal is pretty much useless in this entire matchup, just because we don't ever attach any energies, because we don't even run them whatsoever. So this is a key thing to note in this deck, if that makes sense. This being said, we can get a lot of things done very slowly in this deck. The deck is so slow, and sometimes it may feel like you're winning a game, and then you can all of a sudden, if you misplay, you can just throw the game. So thinking through your moves is always very, very, very important. Just take your time when you're playing decks. Even if you're playing a fast deck like Night March, just take your time. So we see our opponent is kind of just sitting here doing nothing, essentially. I think her only option would be either end this turn, chorus this turn, or attack and pass for now. I've really given her no other options this game, and that's just kind of what this deck does. We kind of slowed her down a little bit with the Team Flare Grunts and stuff, and the Zerosic, but not all that much, so we do have to remember that. She is down a little bit of energy, not that much. She's down 3 DCEs, a few Psychics and Darks, but I have a feeling, and Electrics, but I have a feeling she's running probably at least 12 energy or so, just given her deck and things like that. So drawing these fan clubs are kind of bad at the moment. We really kind of don't want these fan clubs in our hand, if that makes sense. So here we could search, but I don't think it's worth it. And we're just going to AZ and pass our turn. So we have another AZ, which will buy even more time. And we actually still have 2 more AZs left in the deck and 2 Cassiuses, which is really, really good. And 2 max potions. So this is really, really big. We could also VS Seeker Lysander out, something that could be essentially dead, but I don't think that is what we're going to do. Here I'm just going to max potion this Wailord, buying yet another 2 turns, because he has to take 1 turn to attack, another turn to kill it. So, and he still does need to get his 3 prizes, and I think he's contemplating whether or not to end or chorus here, if I were to guess. And I think he has to do it this turn if he's going to do it at all. If I top deck into a Hue, I think he loses this game straight up, because I don't mind giving up a small lead, if that makes sense, but not that massive of a lead, because I can discard these Pokemon fan clubs. They're pretty useless to me at this point in the game, so they're really not all that important anymore, at least. So we do see this Pumpkaboo still dealing 180 damage. There's really not much else going on. I really think he should end soon, if he even has an end. If he doesn't, I'm just going to sit here and basically deck him out within the next few turns, because I can leave this Wailord-ex active, have him take 2 prizes. That's fine by me. He'll draw a card again. He'll go down to 1 card. He'll deal 180. I'll pass again. He'll draw a card. He'll be at 1 card. He'll have to deal 180 again. Destroy the Wailord. Gets the 2 prizes. If he doesn't end that turn, we win, because he won't be able to draw another card, if that makes sense, in time to kill the Wailord on the bench as well, which is pretty important at this point in the game. So we do see the Mew come out, which is a little bit strange. I don't see the Mew being able to do anything different here besides the Pumpkaboo. Pretty sure he's just going to go for a Night March as it is. So I don't know why he specifically did this, but who knows. He's taking a really long time to make his decisions. As you can tell, my opponent's trying to figure out a way to get out of the lock. We've been in this game for almost 20 minutes now, just because of things. And actually, we've been in this game for about 25 minutes or so. So the game is taking a really long time because my opponent just doesn't want to face defeat, essentially. I don't think she can really do all that much, in all honesty. Here, I'm just going to Cassius the Wailord back, and then next turn we can Pokemon Fan Club it, and then I think that will essentially be game. So, unless if he ends me this turn, I'm pretty sure I win the game just off the Wailord stall alone. I really don't see him being able to do much here whatsoever, in any way, shape, or form. He can hit me again for 160. I'm just like, okay, I guess. There's really not much that I care about at this point on Wailord. He can take a crap ton of damage, and yeah, she has 1 card left in her deck, and as you can tell, the only reason why this game is really taking all that long is because my opponent is running down her timer. This game would have probably, if I was versing a faster opponent, it probably would have been over a good 5 minutes ago or so, just by speed and stuff like that. So we do see the ability come out for replace here, which is kind of different. So he's moving all the energy up. I don't know what this is going to do for him, but that is fine by me. Looks like she's just going to do that and pass her turn. I will Pokemon Fan Club for 2 more Wailord-ex's here. And we did get a VS Seeker, so that probably essentially secures game. We do see the draw of the 1 card. So now this tells me right here, you have to have N or Chorus or you lose. You have to or you lose. And we haven't seen any N's in her discard pile, anything like that. All we've seen is Sycamores and stuff like that. I don't even think she's running a very heavy supporter line, but for all I know, she might have it. So we do see a VS Seeker come out, and I think it's just going to be for GG's, essentially. I don't think she really has anything here, and I think this is where she scoops up finally and says we concede. And yeah, as you can tell, this deck's very technical. I made the 1 misplay early and it costed me an early prize. I could have completely avoided that prize altogether, which would have been better overall. So that is a big thing. Look out for the little things. That's how you improve your gameplay. And we'll see you next time for Thursday's talks. And have a great one, guys. Peace out.